So Dr. Silvers, tell me how you first came to get involved in clinical research.
Thanks, Art. So, I've been doing clinical research in my practice for the last 21 years. When I first started in solo practice, I was, a colleague had said to me, he said, research is a really great way to stay current. As a solo practice physician, you're not as much engaged with the academic community. And once I'll never forget his research coordinator said, once you start doing research trials, companies are going to find you because they find you through the FDA. And that has been really the case. I started doing trials. Companies are always looking for doctors that are interested. They also find that the private practice clinicians they can get through the red tape a little bit quicker. Most private practice physicians will be the ones to review the contracts, and they don't have all the legal to go through that the major hospitals will have, the barriers to go through. So, most companies that are looking for physicians to participate in clinical trials really do appreciate the sites that can get it through and get the contracts read. They don't have their own internal institutional review board. A lot of hospitals do, so it does make it easier. That led me to hire a research coordinator, and at one point I've had 2 research coordinators because trials do involve a lot of administration. But the best part about it is being able to present papers at meetings, to be part of my academy meeting, part of the American Rhinologic Society. Many of the trials I've done have been with the big players in my field. The head of the American Rhinologic Society and I were both co-principal investigators in a trial. And that's, for me, have been a really good way to stay current in my field, to even stay ahead of my field and understand and learn the new technology that's available even before it's on the market.
That's great. Have you always been in this private practice before coming to the ISS, or did you ever do something before this?
I started when I first left my residency. I joined a small private practice group. We had different opinions of how patient care should be, and my patients were not enjoying coming to that office. It was too intense, and there was a lot of, but it wasn't a comfortable place to go to work. And for me, I want my staff to be happy. I want my staff to enjoy coming to work. And the tone of an office, I think, is really important, and it's how patients are cared for has a lot to do, not just with the physician, but with the staff. So I left that group after 5.5 years. I had already established myself in New York. I didn't realize how established I was until I put up my own shingle and was as busy, if not busier, the day I left. But in order to stay in private practice, the research also helped provide some financial support to keeping a private practice open, because that's a big challenge. And for me, this natural transition into joining the Institute for Specialized Surgeons was a no-brainer. I mean, medicine and healthcare is changing. We can be wonderful physicians, caring physicians, devoted physicians, but we are constantly fighting with the insurance companies, constantly trying to do the best for our patients. And when the insurance companies are trying to keep the little people down, the ones that they can control, that really changes how a physician can practice. And I find that today, even junior doctors that are training are being discouraged from going into private practice and end up having to join the hospitals. And I don't feel like that lifestyle is good for every physician. We are all different. The way we practice is different, but the ultimate goal is patient care. That is why we all go into medicine, to be able to give the best care to our patients. And if we want to do that in the environment that we're most comfortable. Joining the ISS has not only allowed me to partner with an incredible group of physicians, but physicians out of my field. And I think that that's played a great advantage to get to know and have great, partners that are neurosurgeons, general surgeons. I think that really adds an element to this group that's different than any other.
What do you think are the biggest challenges you'll face helping to scale up your lessons for the practice and the research that you've done towards helping other practices to be more research ready?
Yeah, I think, doing research is definitely challenging. I mean, there's more work that if the physician has to do. You're trying to, and especially if it's new, if you're doing a new procedure that's never been done before, that's not FDA approved, how do you try to convince a patient to have a procedure done that maybe even in a pilot study that's never been done before? I think as a physician, I'm never going to choose a project that I think is going to be unsafe for a patient. Projects have to make sense, they have to make logical sense as to why they're going to be beneficial, but we can't grow in medicine if we're not constantly advancing all fields. And that's what healthcare is. It's just finding the less invasive, the less aggressive ways to manage medical problems, and in a perfect world, finding less procedure ways to manage medical problems. But, with healthcare, there are things that are medically managed, there are things that are surgically managed, and there are things that can benefit from both. And, as a surgeon, I'm going to always try to find the non-surgical approach, but when I do involve a surgical approach, I want it to be as minimally invasive as possible.
That's great. Do you have any advice for anybody looking for a doctor? What should they be looking for in terms of figuring out who is really on the cutting edge and who's just fluffing up their CV?
Yeah. I think there is a huge advantage to the website and to the web, to the ability to search. Patients will often come in and say, well, I know doctors hate Google. I love it. I love an educated patient. So patients should educate themselves. They should know what's out there, because there are many new procedures and new technologies that there are some physicians that just don't do. They are antiquated. They do what they were told and trained in residency. So it is our job as physicians to stay the most up to date, to stay as advanced in our field as we possibly can. And if there's procedures that are out there that we don't know and don't do, we have colleagues that we do know that do them. And there's nothing wrong with recommending and referring patients to another physician if they're going to get the best care there. So, I think for a patient to research what's available, and reviews are helpful. I mean, patients have good experiences. They're going to write about it online. We can't fix everybody. I mean, that's just, we do our best as physicians, and not every procedure is for every patient, and not every patient has success with every procedure.
And do you think that the ISS is one of those places where you can find at least one of everything?
I think without question. I mean, what I'm seeing is the cream of the crop with this group. The best ear surgeon I know is part of this group. The best neurosurgeons I know are part of this group. The best head and neck surgeon I know is part of this group. So this group is selective as far as who they allow to be part of the team for reasons, because we want to all have really good outcomes, and we want to have a really good referral base.
Great. Well, listen, thank you for taking your time. I know it's been a busy day for you so far, but obviously your commitment to taking the time to help educate people is part of that lifelong commitment of figuring out a better way of doing things.
It's a pleasure, and I'm honored to do it.